The American people tend to have many different opinions on many different topics. With the American culture encouraging everyone to formulate their own ideas and opinions, this is bound to happen. Although, everyone can agree on a simple fact. Nobody enjoys paying taxes. Having 10 to 37% of your annual income taken by the government every year is not exactly everyone's cup of tea. This is why the formulation of the wall between Mexico and America is such a big deal right now. The wall will not be cheap. For an estimate, it will cost $14 billion to build and billions more to maintain and man. The following 3 reasons are why the wall should be built. The wall will be cost effective, it will stop drugs from crossing the border, and it will stop criminals from crossing the border. $14 billion is a very large sum of money. A large sum of money many citizens would care dearly of where and how it was spent. However, if you look at the $14 billion and compare it to how much we spend on immigration every year, it pales in comparison. According to Stephen A. Camarota, the Director of Research for the Center of Immigration Studies, he states that a recent NAS study estimated the lifetime fiscal impact of immigrants by education. Averaging the cost estimates from that study and combining them with the education level of the legal border crossers shows a net fiscal drain of $74,722 per crosser. The Department of Homeland Security indicates 170,000 illegal immigrants crossed the border successfully without going through a port of entry in 2015, meaning 1.7 million more may be crossing within the next decade. If the wall stopped just 9 to 12% of these, it would pay for itself. $74,772 times 200,000 equals $14,944,000,000. If it stopped half, it would save taxpayers over $64 billion. To put this all in perspective, the director of FAIRS states that at a federal and state and local level, taxpayers shell out approximately $134.9 billion to cover the cost incurred by the presence of over 12.5 million illegal immigrants. The second reason why we need a wall between the U.S.-Mexican border is to stop or slow the flow of drugs. Drugs have become an increasingly dangerous and serious epidemic in the United States. In 1971, President Nixon declared the war on drugs, and it seems like the war is nowhere near being over, and that the problems are on the rise. To further back this up, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection claim that the number of drug overdoses have climbed more than 50% in the past decade, further proving that the problem is getting worse. A large portion of these drugs are also coming from the Mexican border. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, 99.9% of marijuana, 99.8% of meth, 85.1% of other banned substance seizures occur at the southern border. So not only are these drugs affecting the lives of our citizens, it's also affecting the way we spend our taxes. According to the Drug Policy Alliance, over the past 4 decades, federal and state governments have poured over $1 trillion into the drug war over the past 4 decades. That is $25 billion a year that we are spending on drugs and containing them. The third and final reason why we need a wall between the U.S.-Mexican border is to keep our U.S. citizens safe and keep the criminals out. There are multiple drug cartels in Mexico, all capable of committing atrocious acts. According to Loan Grillo, a journalist who covers organized crime and narcotics in Mexico, he says that it used to be that you'd turn up to a crime scene and you'd find 3 bodies. Then you'd find 5. Then you'd start turning up decapitations, and then bodies were mutilated with their genitals cut off. And then it went from a pile of 12 decapitated heads to 18. Over the past 15 years, murders became ever more violent and ever more public. As the Sinaloa cartel rivaled with the Zetas, some victims would be publicly beheaded or their murders posted on social media. According to the Assistant Director of the FBI's Crime Investigation Division, the cash that's flowing south, the weapons that are flowing south, and the drugs that are flowing north. It's not just 7,000 murders, it's brutal violence, it's torture, it's complete and utter lack of disregard for human life based on greed from drug trafficking. There is currently nothing separating these criminals from entering our lands. To be a controversial topic, you need 2 sides, 2 different ideas. The other side of this argument will give you 2 main reasons. Why should we pay $14 billion for this wall? And how effective will it really be? The price tag can be easily disproved. As said earlier, $25 billion for drug enforcement, and $113 billion for illegal immigration. This far outweighs the cost of the wall. Second, the effectiveness of the wall. The wall will deter anyone trying to go through land. It will force illegals and drug traffickers to go through tunnel systems. The more they use these tunnel systems, the more likely our chances are of finding these tunnels. The creation of the wall between the US and Mexico should be a no-brainer. The $14 billion price tag is nothing in comparison to how much we spend every year on everything that crosses that border. It would also promote US health, ending overdoses and addiction, and it also cripple the drug cartels that rely on our business and customers to run. Third and final, it will protect our citizens from dangerous criminals that can cross those borders. These are the three reasons why there should be a wall between the US and Mexican border.